Block 1, the kernel revolution and CPU latency expanded. Stop updating your graphics drivers thinking it's going to fix your stuttering. It won't. If you're competitive gaming on Windows 11 right out of the box, you're actively throwing away up to 20% of your hardware's actual frame capacity. Microsoft designed this operating system for office security and corporate stability, not for low latency, high-performance gaming. Today, we are tearing down the back-end registry to eliminate micro stutters completely. No placebo tweaks, no useless Windows game mode toggles that barely do anything. We are talking about pure, unadulterated performance frames. The biggest culprit behind sudden, unexplained frame drops during intense fights is a hidden security layer called virtualization-based security, or VBS. When this runs, Windows constantly isolates system memory in a sandbox to prevent corporate malware. While this is great for an accountant or a bank employee, it is absolutely devastating for an Apex, Fortnite, or Valorant player who needs raw, millisecond perfect response time. To kill this latency engine, you must navigate to core isolation settings and disable it. This frees up your CPU scheduler, letting your processor communicate directly with your graphics card without an arbitrary middleman slowing down the data stream. Furthermore, many of you are unaware that Windows runs kernel DMA protection in the background. This adds an unnecessary layer of hardware verification every time your GPU tries to access memory. By disabling this via the registry, you remove the digital velvet rope that's holding back your hardware. Next, we have to talk about CPU core parking. Windows parks your cores by default to save a few cents on your electricity bill. Imagine paying hundreds of dollars for an elite multi-threaded processor, just for Windows to put half of its cores to sleep while you are trying to clutch a 1v3 match. By forcing your minimum processor state to 100% across all power profiles, your CPU will stay at maximum combat frequency the entire time. I need to explain why this matters. Most modern CPUs have turbo boost logic that requires a steady power baseline. When Windows drops your core states, it causes the processor to downclock, which creates a massive spike in frame time variability. This is exactly why your game feels choppy, even when you have high average frames. By locking your processor at its max clock, we are creating a consistent frame delivery pipeline. This chip pairs incredibly well with high-end graphics cards, but only if you optimize the kernel registry system values correctly. Most people break their system here because they don't know the exact hex keys. But you can bypass the trial and error completely. The Core Logico network has mapped out every single hidden core priority value inside the AU Gaming Manifesto handbook linked in the description below. Grab the full system blueprint and unchain your hardware before the next match. Block 2, Network Throttling and Packet Priority expanded. You paid for high-speed fiber internet and a premium Ethernet cable, yet you still experience those annoying network delays right when you shoot. It's not your provider, and it's likely not your router. It's the hidden Windows Network Throttling Index. By default, Windows intentionally restricts your network card's ability to process non-media data packets whenever a heavy application is active. It does this to prevent network saturation, but it completely suffocates your real-time multiplayer data traffic. To fix this, you need to open your registry editor and navigate deep into the software profile platform network settings. Look for the network throttling index value. By modifying this specific hex value to FFFFFFFF, you completely disable the artificial throttle. Your network interface card will now process game data packets at the absolute raw physical speed of your cable, dropping your internal latency drastically. You also need to look at the system responsiveness value. By default, Windows reserves 20% of your bandwidth for background services like Windows Update or telemetry. By setting this to 0, you are telling Windows that your game is the exclusive priority. Let's talk about the network category settings. Windows often tags your game traffic as public or unidentified, which forces additional firewall overhead. We change this to private and adjust the TCP window size to allow larger packets to flow through without being fragmented. Packet fragmentation is the silent killer of your ping. It forces your system to reassemble packets, which adds 5 to 10 milliseconds of hidden latency you can't see but definitely feel. Combine this by disabling Nagel's algorithm in your TCP interface. This stops Windows from stacking up your mouse and keyboard inputs before sending them to the game server. It sends them instantly, bullet by bullet, movement by movement. Many of you are also suffering from receive window auto-tuning, which causes your buffer to bloat and creates jitter. We need to lock this to disabled via the command prompt to ensure your packet delivery is strictly linear and predictable. This network modification gives you a massive advantage because your hit registration becomes perfectly crisp. Your connection will perform 10,000 times better, but only if your packet priority values match your specific network card and your local Australian servers. Don't guess these numbers, a single wrong digit can disconnect you. The exact high priority configurations for the Australian region are fully optimized inside the AU Gaming Manifesto guide. Get your copy from the link below and lock in zero ping. Block 3, RAM standby list and PAGEFILE expanded. You bought 16 or 32 GB of high-speed RAM, but Windows is treating your memory cache like a trash bin. This is the exact reason your game micro-freezes for a fraction of a second during close-range fights. There is a notorious background mechanism in Windows called the standby list. Whenever you close a browser tab or an app, Windows doesn't actually release that memory. It keeps it stored in a standby state just in case you want to open it again. When you launch a heavy competitive shooter, the game demands clean, active memory instantly. Instead of allocating it immediately, Windows forces your system to pause, clear out the old corporate standby list, and then open up the space. This tiny split-second delay causes severe frame time spikes right when action happens on screen. Most users think that upgrading to more RAM will solve this, but it actually makes the problem worse because the standby list becomes even larger and takes longer to clear out. Think of your RAM like a desk. If the desk is cluttered with old projects, you can't lay out your current blueprints. Windows keeps your desk full of junk files it thinks you might need later. We are going to force Windows to throw that junk in the trash every single time the memory exceeds a threshold. This is not just a tweak, this is fundamental system hygiene. To fix this, you need to set an automated background task scheduler script that forces the standby memory list to completely purge itself the moment it hits more than 1 GB of cached space. This simple automation ensures your memory is always completely clean and ready to process real-time positioning data. I've also included a custom memory cleaner profile in our guide that manages your page file allocation, preventing Windows from ever offloading your active game assets to a slow hard drive. Stop letting Windows waste the high-speed RAM you paid for. The step-by-step setup and the clean scripts for this memory purge are fully laid out inside the AU Gaming Manifesto handbook. Hit the link in the description and optimize your cache now. Block 4, MSI interrupt and DPC latency expanded. Every single device connected to your motherboard, your mouse, your keyboard, your headset, is constantly fighting for your CPU's attention. If your graphics card is waiting in line, you are losing valuable frames and increasing your input lag. This hardware conflict happens through interrupt requests, or IRQs. By default, Windows forces your high-end graphics card to share its processing priority channel with minor hardware components like your onboard audio or your USB controllers. When your system gets overwhelmed during intense gaming moments, your GPU frames are literally forced to wait in line behind audio output data. To bypass this hardware flaw, you need to use an MSI utility tool adjustment to force your graphics card out of line-based mode and into a dedicated message-signaled interrupt status. Inside the utility, switch your GPU priority value from normal straight to high. This forces your motherboard controller to give your graphics card absolute supremacy over the entire system pipeline. Why does this change the feel of your mouse? Because MSI mode allows the GPU to bypass the interrupt controller entirely and signal the CPU directly. We are effectively creating a VIP express lane for your graphics data. By doing this, we also reduce DPC latency, which is the time it takes for your hardware to tell the CPU it's ready. If you use a tool like LatenCyman, you will see your DPC scores drop by huge margins once this is applied. It makes your inputs feel snappier, and your frame rate stay locked to your monitor's refresh rate. The moment a frame is rendered, it is pushed straight to your display controller without waiting a single cycle. Your mouse tracking will feel 10,000 times more attached to your actual hand movement because you've eliminated the digital cue. This elite tweak works beautifully, but to lock in the absolute lowest input delay, you must combine it with optimized device interrupt paths. The complete, risk-free hardware priority chart is mapped out perfectly inside the AU Gaming Manifesto handbook link down below. Level up your setup response right now. Block 5, Ultimate Power Plan and CTA expanded. Your premium graphics card is hiding a massive performance secret. Windows is deliberately holding back its power draw. Even if you select High Performance mode, Windows 11 still applies aggressive power management limitations to your PCIe slots to meet international energy-saving guidelines. This causes your GPU clock frequencies to constantly fluctuate, creating erratic frame times that ruin your muscle memory. To unlock the hidden raw power plan, you must bypass the control panel and inject a specific command script into your Windows PowerShell. This script forces the hidden Ultimate Performance power plan to appear. This profile completely eliminates any energy-saving latency on your hardware component links, forcing your graphics card and power supply to run at absolute full capacity the entire time. Furthermore, you must disable PCI Express Link State Power Management, which is the silent killer of stable frame times on high refresh rate monitors. I also advise you to manually set your minimum performance state in the NVIDIA or AMD control panel. Most people skip this and let the software auto-detect, which is exactly why you get random micro stutters. By forcing maximum performance mode globally, we are removing the software's ability to downvolt your hardware during combat. This is how the pro players maintain 240 or 360 frames per second without any dips whatsoever. What we covered today is barely 5% of what is actually suffocating your computer's gaming performance. Windows has hundreds of corporate registries that ruin your gaming experience. If you want to skip the endless hours of research and completely unlock your machine's true potential, our network has compiled the ultimate backend blueprint. The AU Gaming Manifesto is the complete, deep-dive optimization handbook designed to eliminate latency, stabilize frame times, and give you the cleanest system response possible. No subscription fees, no sketchy software, just the exact system values used by elite Tier 1 competitive players. The download link is waiting for you right now in the description below. Stop fighting your operating system and start dominating your lobbies. Tap the link, upgrade your rig today, and I will see you in the next breakdown, mate. Your journey to the performance elite starts now.